Good evening, everybody. I hope you are well. I'm joined tonight by Luke Dugan. Hi, Luke. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank
Well, I know
you.
we spoke about 2 seconds ago, so I already know. But
I know. Luke and I we spent the whole afternoon talking. So we were just like talking about exciting stuff, which hopefully we're going to let you guys know about at some point. Luke and I have got an exciting project coming up that we're going to talk to everyone about at some point. But can't go into too much detail, obviously, at the moment. We'll keep everyone in suspense. So Jed's joined us evening. Good to see everyone's kind of gone through the StreamYard process and filled out their information, so we can see now more people registering each time I put a link up. We can actually start to see who we're actually talking to. So it's going to take a bit of time for it to filter through for everyone. Can you see the names now, Luke?
I can only see one at the moment, but
I think only one at the moment.
I wanted to see if I could see everyone else, because I could see some people's last week, but I couldn't see everyone's. Or not, sorry, not last week, the week before, whenever it was that I was last on. I could see some, but not all of them. So it may be that.
Yeah, no, I think that's the case. I think as more and more people join and as more and more people register. So Paul's joined us evening. So I think, we'll be able to see, if you go ahead and do it. And Ruth joined us as well, who's watching from YouTube. Brilliant. Look at the diversity. Matt Cromie says hi. I can see everyone's names. This is awesome.
Dedication there going in.
Yeah.
I haven't even signed up. But this is a stream.
Have you not subscribed to it on YouTube yet?
No, I haven't.
No. Oh, we've got a Facebook user, so we are going to have to log in and have a look at the comments just to see. Oh, hang on, I just talked down. So it's Terry that says, "Hey guys, evening, Terry. Hope you're well." So, well, first of all, happy birthday for what? A couple of days ago, Luke.
Sunday, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a nice birthday?
I turned 22. No, do you know what? I don't really worry too much about birthdays anymore. There's no importance to me that much. I use it as a day of reflection. I thought just before, a day or so before, I thought I don't really do birthdays. There's no importance about it. And I thought, hang on, let's have a think. And I thought, because I always think about this, and the main thing is, where was I this time last year, and will I be like proud or happy or whatever you want to call it, where I am today, or now a year on? And I was like, you know what, I would be. So and that was it, done. That was my bet. Like, that was, to me, that was
wow.
Okay.
So then if you're not proud of it, what, you don't give yourself a present or something?
Yeah, because every year you should be celebrating potentially. As you get older, I feel like you should be trying to achieve more. It doesn't mean that you will. Always looking to strive to do a bit better. Even it could be in any area of life. Obviously, some aren't going to be as obvious as others because some might be personal. But recently it's been business, so I'm like, well, and if I find out that I hadn't, then is it because I'm lazy? And if it is, then I know, I'll be depressed for like a day, and then I would probably know what I've got to do for next year. So. And the same goes to like after, when I look at my Amazon business year to year, I do similar thing, but when I look at my birthday, I look at it as a sort of bigger picture. Where am I trying to go, sort of thing, not just in business. Obviously, that has been a massive part, which is why I thought about that, like, foremost. But I try to like incorporate it all in. Go, if I could see myself in a year, would I look at that person and be like, I want to be that person? That's how I try to see it.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I know what you mean, because when it comes to birthdays, they start being less about kind of celebration, I suppose, as you get older, and you do start looking at them a different way, definitely, as you get older, as opposed to from a child's point of view. I suppose it's the same with Christmas or any type of celebration. But I really like that approach to it. I've never really seen anyone or heard of anyone doing that as a time for reflection.
I've really done that, and because the way I was starting to think about it as well, and that's why it relates to selling on Amazon and trying to be the best of what you're doing, and believing that is because the person I was 10 years ago is probably no different to the person I am now, but I had to be that person along the way to get to where I'm going. I couldn't, I know it evolves over time.
Yeah.
But you can't go into something not already having that belief or mindset. You've got to almost be that. So you've got to be, if you're trying to be successful, you've got to be that successful person before you're successful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're never going to get. You kind of get what I mean. So whatever area it might be, you would already think, oh, you're going to be the best at it, and that's why. So I've always thought very, apart from maybe when I was like 18, like I could go drinking. It's probably like the last birthday I thought, oh my god, my birthday, because obviously like it was like where I could actually do something drastically different, I guess, and go out with friends and stuff. But it's probably since then.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
after.
get it. No, I've always been someone that's really celebrated birthdays. My birthday, I've really celebrated it. Always gone out with friends, always enjoyed it, lived it up with family and things like that. But then the dynamic of my birthday changed a few years ago, because I don't want to bring the group down or anything like that, but it's an interesting approach because this actually might help me. So thanks for that, Luke. Is my dad passed away on my birthday, and he died on my actual birthday, and it changed the dynamic of my birthday for me moving forward, funnily enough. And I didn't know how I would feel about it. So it'd be interesting. I might start looking at it from that point of view, actually. A reflection.
I always just wondered what am I celebrating? People celebrate. What is it that is actually being celebrated? I couldn't understand. I just couldn't I can't get my head around it still. What is it that people are celebrating?
Yeah.
I
get it.
Yeah, I'm alive.
Another year older, another year closer to death.
Yeah, like it's only going the wrong way. You should be celebrating, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I just don't really understand.
There we go. Well, look at that, everyone. We got a philosophy lesson to start with this evening from Luke.
It's almost like people are celebrating just getting through the year. That's how it seems to be. And I think, like, what if that's like the way that humanity's kind of got to? Like, you're celebrating just getting through the year. I'm like, oh god, come on. Yeah, I just try to. Anyway, that's enough.
No, I love it. Like Emily says here, dress for the job that you want, not the one that you have. So it is about embracing that kind of mindset and looking, I suppose, to reflection, or looking back and reflecting, but also motivating yourself that when you're going to be in that same position that time next year that you want to achieve, and be in that position, a better position essentially than you are sat there this time this year. I like it.
It won't always be forever that every year will be. I'll be like, oh my god, that was amazing. But that's it's more about what you do, or how you react and whatever.
Yeah, no, I love it. I shall definitely take that on board as some advice. That I can look at this year as well. Brilliant, thanks for that. So Yuborn says, "Don't give up, Luke," and he also, I think he said something previously about not proud of my birthday as well, but don't feel bad. There you go. But I don't think that was probably the element. You're just saying you're looking at it slightly differently, obviously. Simon's joined us. Good evening, Simon. Belinda. Sean's joined us this evening. Sean, Imran, Kirsty, James, Susan, Simon, just saying hello. Luke Pastor's joined us. Luke was on last week. For anyone that didn't watch it, it was a really good episode last week where we talked a lot about selling in Europe and all the changes that were happening there. And Luke kindly talked to us about selling books on Amazon. So thanks for dropping by again, Luke. Ray, evening, Terry, Sarah. Let's just have a quick look. So Sean says, finally changing from sole trader to limited company. Good time to do it now, Luke, just before Q4. Silly question, but where do I find my status that Amazon wants? Sorry, I can't read tonight. You might have to do the reading tonight, Luke.
I want to see where you're.
It says, I can't find my status that Amazon wants. Is it when I registered the limited company by letter or email?
Come on, Sean. You can do better. You can do better than that, Sean.
Yeah, I'm not quite 100% what you mean. So are you talking about the entity or the registration documents, or what Amazon want? Because what you're going to want to be able to do is make sure before you make the change that you've got all of the information that you need, that Amazon's going to want to ask for. So he says, oh, statutes. Oh, is that statutes? I don't know. That might have to be a question for Matt Cromie, actually.
I was always a limited company anyway, so I never went through it.
We were always a limited company. So I know it doesn't sound very helpful. But if my Matt Cromie is watching and he knows the answer, can you reply on the thread if that's okay? So Sue says there is an email with the company number and the certificate. That might be what we're referring to. Sorry, Sean. Yeah.
He seems to. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully Sue's answered it. If not, then I will get my Matt to have a look into it and we will let you know. Yes, statutes. Yeah, sorry. I think you're going to have to do the reading tonight, Luke, because do you know what? I did my 5 a.m. club.
I thought that Sean was trying to say statuses or statuses. And
yeah, that's what I thought it was.
I was like, yeah, okay. I already know, I know what it means. No, I don't know. But yeah.
I literally have not stopped since 5 a.m. this morning. Got up at 5 to get some peace and quiet work done before the kids got up and everything like that. And literally throughout the whole day, normally if I do get up at 5 to work, normally probably sort of mid-afternoon, something like that, not have a little rest, but have a little bit downtime or something like that. But today I just haven't stopped all day, so I don't think I can actually read anymore after this. So, but we had a chat earlier.
Last night I turned the lights off and went to sleep at like 20 past 9. I don't know what's happening.
We had we literally oh, the door's open behind me. Might have to shut that in a minute. We went out yesterday on a friend's boat, and sorry if I'm name dropping or anything like that, but literally went to bed so early last night because I don't know if you've like, for people that go out on boats and things like that, being out in the sea air, it just absolutely wipes you out. I think I was in sleep, and I was in bed by about 8:30 last night. So
yeah, I saw that you went out on a boat, and that was
that
was that.
We do. Do you know what we have actually? It was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment that I put on my personal Facebook, where I just sort of said, "Oh, make friends with people that have got boats. Then you never need to buy one yourself." But we do have a very high level of friends that have boats, so we are pretty lucky in that respect that we don't ever need to buy one ourselves because we can just go out with a friend. But yeah, maybe I shouldn't have put that in my status. Maybe we won't get invited now. Moving forward. So Matt's answered now. I think it's something to do with your certificate of incorporation. So now that we've said hello to everyone, now that we've said good evening, let's talk about what's been going on with the world of Amazon. We've just had a big question come in, so we'll have to have a look at that in a moment. Let's just have a quick. Oh, look, loads of questions are piling now. What I was going to say, actually, everyone, was if you do have any questions, then please pop them in the thread as we're going along. But literally, as I said, that people are kind of jumping in. But we'll come back and have a look at the questions in a sec. But I just wanted to, because we talked a lot last week with the other Luke. I was talking a lot about the whole EFN thing coming to an end at the end of December potentially. So we did cover that quite heavily last week. So I don't want to really go over that too much because there's no new information really to go over that. And I think it will be something that will be an ongoing thing kind of moving forward as more information comes out, as people decide whether they want to go down the kind of PAN registration route and things like that. But what I wanted to sort of encourage people to do now, while there's no sort of new information about it, about what they want to do with their European sales moving forward, is kind of keep calm and carry on. I think, I've seen a few people say that they're going to start pulling out of Europe and that type of thing. And of course, that's entirely up to whoever, wants to do it. And I suppose if you're not going to PAN register moving forward, then there might be the argument of, yes, not continuing on with it moving forward. But I would sort of like say just keep going at the moment. Yes, we've got Q4 coming up, obviously. But what I would encourage anyone to do, and obviously this will only depend for how long you've been selling on Amazon, but maybe take this time, whilst we don't really 100% know what's going to be going on, to have a look back at your sales, especially over the last 12 months in Europe, and really make an assessment as to whether or not you feel that it's been worthwhile for what you've been selling in Europe. I mean, if it makes up a very small percentage of your business, then you might be able to make the decision, do you know what, it's not going to be worth me going through the PAN registration route. Or if it's making up more than you thought, then it might be something that you want to start thinking about if that's the route that you go down. Is it something you've had a chance to think about yet, Luke?
I haven't sold in Europe since like February anyway, or end of maybe March, because I off when there was a lot of fair pricing policy warnings going around.
Yeah.
Because they were coming from different countries, so you didn't really know what was going on with how they were playing the game almost in those. Each country was doing their own thing, so I just got rid of it, just sold in the UK, and I've still got it like that now. I will probably just jump on for a bit of Q4 because it's always worth doing it. Definitely, but more of the toys come around, and there's specific lines that do well in Europe on the toys and stuff. But for me, I've always focused on the UK anyway, so I've never really worried too much about it. I know some people do sell like a lot of it, and I'm not that I don't know how. I'm sure you can find the products that you can anything, but there's plenty of opportunity in the UK if that is what happens and you have to just sell in the UK. So I think you've got to be like, if you don't sell in Europe, then that's it. You've got to either register for pan-European or nothing, or go home and shut shop. Because for me, like, I've never really looked at it too intensely. Maybe a little bit more Q4, just a bit on a couple of top like higher end sellers that are volume, doing a bit more, but not really. And even now, I'll probably just turn it on, but I'm not worried about selling in Europe even for Q4. So you don't have to. For me, the focus isn't there anyway, and the market's great in the UK as it is, and that's good.
I think it's interesting. I think it will give certain types of sellers maybe the opportunity to scale in an area that they hadn't considered scaling their business in before, because there is going to be more opportunity to sell in Europe moving forward, considering it's going to be a harder market to be able to impact or to get into, because there's a higher barrier to entry. So there is going to be opportunity for people to look into it. But like I said, I think the most important thing is to assess from your current business situation. So like if you're a brand new seller or something like that, I probably wouldn't recommend that you just go straight in feet first and kind of dive into registering. You have to have some level, I think, of understanding or results from your business to prove, I suppose, that it's going to be worth doing it. But take the time to have a look at those European sales and see what level of business it contributes. I've spoken to a wide range of people over the last week that some people have said it's 5% of my business, but I feel it's going to be a great opportunity for me to scale in an area that I've not been able to do so in the UK. So therefore, I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of pan-European. And I've spoken to people that it's 25% of their business, but they're like, no, it's going to be too much faff for me to go ahead and do it. So therefore, I'm not going to do it at this stage. I want to wait and see what happens. If there are going to be any other opportunities that come out of it, or any other services or anything like that whatsoever. So I think it's a bit too early doors to be making any decisions. But I think whilst we're in this period of time, it's just probably a good time to look back over the business and see whether or not it's going to be a consideration, because I think people are making up their minds already whether or not they are or they're not. So just good opportunity to have reflect and think about that, really, I think.
Yeah, and I also think until it happens, some things change anyway. Like there's been so many times where people have spent so many hours having conversations in groups and debates and whatever about what's the best course of action, and then a couple of months later, something changes anyway, and it's completely that whole conversation was almost pointless. So sometimes people do get as well, they're overthinking it and they're overcomplicating it, and they're spending a lot of time on it, when sometimes I think if it's either going to happen or it's not. But it's hard to explain. It's hard to
No, I know, and we spoke about this last week with Luke. It's a case of, I think with what Amazon announced last week, that is going to be a worst case scenario. So I think that hopefully there will be something else that comes out of it. The UK government might strike a deal. Amazon might strike some sort of deal. I don't know. We can't speculate at this stage. So
it's a little bit similar to when there was that declaration in Germany. And everyone, we can't sell in Germany. We're going to have to register for. It was a similar thing, but it was just for Germany. And then, not a couple of weeks before, they said you can, if you're selling under the threshold and whatever, then you just send this declaration off and that's it. But
Yeah.
you know, when they announced it originally, it was like a couple of months before that, saying it will be something, and then you know, you end up, in a way, you almost waste, not what's then happening is you're focusing on the wrong things, and you're not focusing on actually doing what you should be doing for like 2 or 3 months, because you're spending a lot of time researching and trying to figure out, and then you almost lose the money that you my words aren't coming out as well today. Too many hours. You sort
No,
of,
I know what you mean.
you know, just focus on what you can impact is ultimately what I'm trying to say. Just focus, you know, and be aware of the options that you currently have, but be open to changes that could happen, because they do. But also focus on your strengths and the areas that you can impact more than anything. To ultimately, if you just focus on that and ignored it, then maybe offset the loss of Europe by finding other areas to enter that you can actually like have an impact in within the time frame till the end of the year, because we've got half a year or whatever it is now. And then it wouldn't matter anyway. And then if something good happens, maybe you know, it's not a worst case situation. Well, you've not only like created this new area to enter, but you can then also still do some of Europe, and you're already up.
No, I completely agree. I totally get what you were saying. You know, only focus on what you can absolutely influence at the end of the day, because this is something. And ever since I've been selling on Amazon, I think this is the most thing that none of us can influence at the end of the day. So there's not a lot we can do about it. If you want to make a decision to kind of pull out of Europe, I mean, Hayden says, I'm actually going to, what is going on with the comments? Hayden says, I'm going to stop selling in Europe. I don't get many sales anyway, and the returns are a nightmare. And I think Sue said same here. And yeah, absolutely. You know, some people offsetting those returns. It's, you know, having to deal with that, not having to deal with the issues with, does it get stuck in a foreign fulfillment center and that type of thing. For some people, it's just easier to not worry about it anymore and focus on the future. Other people will see it as a big selling opportunity, and we just got to wait and see what happens over the next couple of months before, you know, we kind of decide or look into. And everyone, and there's not going to be any right or wrong answer. You're going to, some people are going to do it, some people aren't going to do it. So
everyone can do a mixture of all the different combinations and make it work anyway. You don't have to there's not like just one, like 3 paths and you've got to follow 200 exact variables in an order, otherwise that's it. You have to go and get a paper round or whatever. You know, you can do it, be successful in multiple ways, and
yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, like I said, I didn't want to cover it too much, because what I did want to have a chat about tonight is what Emily has brought up, which I've very fancily put on the screen with our new software, is, have you seen the email about invoice performance is now being tracked in your account house? Well, I know I have. Have you seen it, Luke? I'm sure you have.
100%. Basically, the worst thing you want. Like, I had 100% of my invoices not sent to the customer or whatever, because you know, no one's getting impacted right now by it. But I've now turned on my VAT calculation.
I was going to say, so we did that. So at the end of the day, I was going to ask what you were doing, because you're a VAT registered seller, whether or not you were going for the automatic option. So first things first, if you're VAT registered, just go on and turn on the automatic VA calculation, where Amazon will do it for you. It's just going to be the simplest option, but you only get that option if you are a VAT registered seller. So where do you actually turn it on? Because I know we did it at the time when it came out. So
just click on the actual account. If you go into settings, I believe under account info, basically, if you just go into your settings on the right hand side, and you just the top option where it gives you all the different sections you can jump on. You know, it gives you like VAT stuff, like where you enter your VAT number and everything. It breaks it down to a little box, but I think there's an option or a header in there which is the VAT calculation. Then you can just activate it that way. It does say it takes like a week, but mine was 24 hours or something. It's
okay, that's fine. So super quick.
Turn it off and turn it on, but you can turn it on and off anyway without any problems.
So that's going to be the simplest thing to do if you are VAT registered, but it's only for VAT registered sellers only, to be able to turn on the option where Amazon will automatically upload those VAT invoices to business customers only. So you really don't have to worry about being subject to this new metric. Now, obviously, a lot of new sellers or sellers that haven't reached the threshold yet are not going to be able to have this option. It's something that they are going to have to be able to do manually. So for those of you that don't know what it is, Amazon sent out an email which now sending out and uploading business invoices is going to be part of your performance metrics. Now, it's a bit like a metric that's a similar way it's being measured is to replying to customers' messages within the 24-hour period. If you don't do that, you get a mark against your account and it can go against your performance metrics. Similar premise here. Except it's going to be if a business customer requests an invoice for you, you must upload that invoice within 24 hours of them requesting it. And if you don't, then it's going to go against your performance metrics. Now, the only thing, because obviously we don't really know as yet, is you get 5% performance. So you got to be under a 5% target essentially. So, and I made a video about this earlier, but I just sort of assumed this was the case, but I don't know if you know any different, Luke, is I take it that 5% is only worked out against your percentage of business customers and not your overall
that's
orders.
Right, 100%, because I had one business that I didn't reply to in whatever the time frame is, and so I had 100%. Like, you want to get it to what is it, 5%? So you want 5, basically. It's almost impossible. It's almost impossible, I think, because you don't get many as it is. I don't even get many. I'll probably get 40, 50 a month. Well, how are you gonna ever keep that under?
Yeah. So you got to 5% doesn't mean anything, because you think, oh, okay, in terms of Amazon, some of the metrics are like 0.5%, some are like 2% or whatever. And you think, okay, 5% is quite generous. But the reason it's 5% is because it's tracked against the business customers who are less. So don't think 5% is generous. It's not. You basically get 1, and it could put you well above the 5%, which is going to go against your performance metrics. So unfortunately now, if you are non-VAT registered seller, then you have to be able to get those invoices uploaded within that 24-hour period. Now, again, the only thing I don't know is whether or not, because sometimes before I think we opted in, if someone requested like a VAT, if someone requested an invoice, we would either send it via Messenger, or we wouldn't upload it through the upload section. But I assume now it has to be done through, because we would just reply to the message and send it back that way. I assume now it has to be tracked through the upload invoice section as opposed to sending it back through Messenger.
I suspect so. There's no way to track it. Yeah, it's not going to be.
Yeah, so I assume you're not going to be able to do that. So in the past, if you have ever applied to someone with an invoice, then that's not going to be probably sufficient anymore, I would have thought. So you're going to have to go through into the manage order sections, look up the order specifically, and then you can upload it through that section there. Now, if you've got accounting software, obviously you can create an invoice from that point of view. But if you do not have accounting software, the easiest and quickest way to do it is to go to invoice-generator.com. It's a website that's got a free invoice template where you can just fill in the customer's details and just download a PDF or a JPEG or whatever the version is, and then you can upload it through the upload invoice section. But obviously, if you're non-VAT registered and they've asked for a VAT registered one, because I know this throws a few people off, don't be tempted to add VAT to it. You can't add VAT if you're not VAT registered. It's actually, I don't know, is it against the law?
Well, I mean, it must be a criminal offence.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we don't want to freak anyone out or anything like that, but I'm just making it clear, because sometimes what can happen is sometimes you
feel pressure, don't you? Because of they send in really weird, I'm emailing on behalf. Have you ever seen them? They look really sort of not threatening, but a little bit.
Yeah. So don't be intimidated by a customer if they're saying, well, I wouldn't have purchased this if I didn't know you weren't VAT registered or whatever. do not be tempted to put any type of VAT on anything if you are not VAT registered, because like I said, I don't know if it's a criminal offence or against the law, but the HMRC won't take kindly to it. Put it like this, and you can't do it. So if you do get someone coming back to you saying, well, I need a VAT registered, just reply back to them with a message once you've uploaded the invoice, because that's the most important thing to do now, is upload the invoice. Once you've uploaded the invoice, and just politely inform them that you are non-VAT registered seller and you've just sent them a standard invoice. And if they reply again after that, hit no response needed, because there's nothing else you can say. Is what it is, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else? I don't know if you wanted to add anything else.
No, I think that's everything. It's just that you got to be careful, because you don't, definitely the beginners are like, oh, maybe I need to send that, and like they don't, because they're just not well educated on specific accountancy areas, and they think, oh, maybe that is what I do, and a lot of people probably just do it without even asking anyone else. They think, oh, okay, but yeah, be careful and don't do it.
Oh, okay. A few people have actually messed it. Maybe I've said it wrong here, so I don't know. Maybe you can clarify, because it was always something we were part of the automatic one anyway, which was, a couple of people have said, is it requested or shipped? Do you remember that part of it, Luke? Whether or not?
So which bit, sorry?
So Jed said, I was under the impression that invoices must be uploaded for all business orders within the 24 hours of the product being shipped, not just if they ask.
I believe that is true. This is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor, everybody.
Yeah.
I remember doing something in accounting, and it's normally
I meant from an Amazon point of view for the new performance metric.
Oh, you mean timeframes, like how soon you got to upload that?
Oh no, so what I said was that from the customer being requested an invoice, that you had to reply it within 24 hours. But Jed has said, I thought we had to do it if it was just a standard sale. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'm going to need to check. And obviously, I don't think Luke is either. So I don't think Luke's getting what I'm saying, essentially. So, yeah, Hayden said, I heard that as well. So, and previously he said, okay, so you don't need to upload all just in case, or if it only is requested. Karen says, I use the invoice generator you mentioned, Natalie, but a pop on a message at the bottom to advise is a receipt as a company and not VAT registered, assuming this is okay. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's not something you probably even need to put on that, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware. But I suppose then it just is good customer service, because it's letting them know that you're not VAT registered at the end of the day, and they don't have to ask about that. We will get that clarified, guys. So I will double check whether or not it's when they request the invoice, if you have to do it, or whether it's to do with as soon as it's a sale. So I will get that double checked, and I will post it in the group. Or if anyone does 100% know the answer, then put it on here. So a few other people have joined us. So Sajid said, how do we solve the inventory issue? So hopefully that's gone ahead and answered that. Chippo, going back to what we were saying before, has said 75% of my sales are in the EU and amazing ROIs too. So I suggest probably Chippo's going to have to go through the PAN registration process anyway. So Chippo also says, when I go to my orders section, it is blank. Where do I find the FBA order?
Merchant fulfilled on the first. When you click on orders, it normally defaults to merchant. You've got to click on the right hand side. Sort of, that's the wrong way, but somewhere like there on the screen.
Yeah.
It will have like something like show FBA or something, and it will come up.
Yeah, I think, just trying to get my bearings. So yeah, it's the right hand side you click it, I think, isn't it?
Like about there on the screen compared to the height of this screen.
Yeah, so automatically, which is weird because it automatically defaults to merchant fulfilled, and you would think when most people do, well, I don't know, but most people seem to do FBA, so you would think it would automatically default to that. But yeah, you just need to click into the FBA order section, so that's fine. So Jane says, I believe the upload invoice button only becomes available after the payment completes within the manage orders. So yeah, we would need it would need, because that is a little bit of a scam. Because I don't know if you've ever got it. Have you ever got a message from someone requesting an invoice?
They're trying to like
pending order
and then cancel the
Yeah, I don't know.
What pending orders don't classify as a sale. So
yes.
when you've got a pending, when you've got all your sales every day, that's not actually a sale. Actually, it counts as nothing. I know it's. I'm so sorry if you've had your greatest day today and on Amazon, but yeah, it doesn't actually count. It's when they're complete. So legally, the data you're actually seeing is not correct, and that's why there is crossovers on as well when people think, why are my sales different to this, and why? Because things that don't represent properly across different things. But anyway, that was just a little extra bit on that. So.
No, it's interesting, and there is this sort of scam, and I'm not really sure what the scam is, to be honest. Which is they request an invoice before they've completed the order, but they're just trying to get an invoice out of you. But I don't understand how they would make money out of that, but I don't really just understand what the scam is. So if anyone is requesting an invoice, then don't send it to them before the order has completed. So, you know, you're just not that it's going to affect you or impact you or anything like that whatsoever, but it's just, you know, don't want to obviously facilitate people in their scams, you know, essentially. So Jed said the exact wording, let's bring this up. Kind of gets rid of there's a lot going on there. The exact peek over the top. The exact wording on Amazon, it's all sellers are required to provide Amazon business customers with a valid VAT invoice for each order within 1 business day of the order dispatch is confirmed. Sellers that are not required to apply VAT on their sales are required to provide receipts, as Karen said. Similarly, I can't say that. Can't say that word. I can't say it. Anyway, credit notes on returns from Amazon business customers must be provided within 1 business day of return confirmation. So again, it's not really, I'm going to get rid of that, obviously, because it's a bit high. It's not really 100% clear. It's whether they requested or you have to do it for every single order. But I assume the easiest thing to do is just make sure you're doing it for every business customer order now. It's a little bit of extra faff. It's a little bit of extra work, but to be perfectly honest, you're not going to get in trouble for doing it. So you're better off just doing it for every single one.
Yeah. And realistic. I was mucking around there.
Yeah, I know.
And realistically, it's like, I remember when I worked in finance, and like obviously you can't claim something if you haven't got a real invoice. So people, that is an actual real world business impact on that company, and they may not want to potentially purchase from you again as an Amazon platform if they're not going to get a VAT invoice. So
yeah,
Amazon might lose customers. Like, you know, you got to think why. So it's only a good thing because it's like proper business practices, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that you would ordinarily do as part of your business anyway, and it's what we request anyway from being VAT registered sellers or whatever. We're constantly requesting invoices and VAT registered invoices from people, so it's just part of standard running a business. I know it's annoying. I know, you know, it's an extra faff and it's an extra thing that you have to do, but unfortunately if we all want to be part of the Amazon party, we've all got to play the Amazon rules, unfortunately. I'm going to go back to some of the questions at the start, actually, because we were asked a few other questions. So that's it. So at the moment, unless we find out otherwise, just do it for every single business customer. I will get that confirmed though, because I do definitely want to check. But like I said, I don't think it's bad practice to be able to do it for every single business customer that comes through anyway. You know, you're not going to be able for issuing an invoice. So Jed says before, so we go back to some of the questions originally. It looks like Matt sorted out Sean's issue, so fingers crossed that's all sorted. Good. My wife Let's get it up. It's going to be another long question, though. It's going to block us out again. There we go. My wife and I have recently been victims of ID theft, so it's made us more determined than ever to change our business and direct our addresses at company's house. However, I'm worried that changing business addresses on Amazon and our bank may result with issues with re-verification. Do you have any tips on how to make your address change smoothly without interrupting our selling account? I do actually think that Matt answered this. I saw this a bit later on. So he said we've changed addresses several times over the years for limited company with Amazon without re-verification, but changing the entity is much more of a trigger. So just go ahead and provide as much information as you can. Now, I'm just going to go back and answer this one about the bounce back loan, because I'm not 100% who said it. Because
Terry.
Was it Terry?
About Santander? Is that the one you were talking about? Or
yeah, I'm not going to get that up on the screen because we won't be able to see either of us on that one. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and read that one out.
If I can find it again, give me 1 second and I will look for it.
Because we'll get that answered. It should be. Do you not get the comments that come up?
Where am I looking?
The right-hand side.
You mean why am I looking on my phone and not on here?
No, I look on both because some have names and some don't. So, or some don't. So.
I just saw it.
Okay, I'll read it out. If you can't find it. Okay, that's fine. So I think it's Terry, as Luke said, who said, Santander have declined my bounce back application, and this was their explanation. The account holder has a limited company of the same nature as a sole trader business the loan is being applied for. The limited company is one that I will change the legal entity on so I can continue to grow my business. It has no trading going through it at all, but I have been waiting for the bounce back loan to be approved before switching it. Do you have some thoughts or advice on this matter? This bounce back loan is mass, I suppose. Is there more to that?
Probably means it's massive.
Yeah,
or he really wants it or something.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the end of the conversation. I can't find it now on my phone for some reason. I can't see extended on there. I don't know if you've got any thoughts to add to that to start with, but I get the idea. I think it's to do with because he's changed from sole trader to limited company during the process. Is that right?
It's hard to say, isn't it? Because it's not even, it's a bit more of like a legal question than it is. I understand what you're saying. Because there's basically two companies that are the same company, and that his sole traded company is the one that it should be, or something.
Oh, just the end of what Terry said. He said this bounce back loan is massively important for the growth of my business, so it would be a complete game changer, especially leading up to Q4. Thanks in advance. Well, the only thing I would say, obviously, is you can try with as many different banks as possible. So I think you probably need to speak to the bank as to get them to kind of clarify it a little bit more, because obviously now that everything's died down, I don't know what the customer service is like for the banks, because when the bounce back loans came out, people were on the phone for like 7-8 hours, couldn't get through to their bank and this and that. But it sounds like it's to do with difference between changing from sole trader to limited company. So the only thing I can think of is that the new account, depending on whether or not you're doing one of these feeder accounts or whether or not Santander is your actual bank, does the entity of your bank need changing before you reapply with another bank? Or, you know, I would probably have a conversation with the bank, because like Luke says, I think it's probably going to come down to
technical, really. I think like it's, you know, it's going to be some sort of little detail somewhere causing it to do something, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, to be perfect, from what I understand from speaking to a number of different sellers and a variety of different people, not just Amazon sellers who I know personally have businesses that have applied for the bounce back loan, is it's kind of hard to get declined for it, to be perfectly honest. And there must be a reason why. Obviously, we can see here it's because to do with the entity of your business. But if it was me, what I would do is I would speak to the provider and essentially ask them if there's anything that you can do and reapply with that. I'm not sure if you can once they've been declined, but if not, I do know that whatever they've declined you on, if you can fix that and maybe go through the process of changing to the actual entity or whatever you need, if you complete that, then you should be able to apply for another account elsewhere and go through the process again, regardless of being declined. That's how I understand it. But as I said, Luke and I are not financial advisors or anything like that. You might have to get some specific advice relating to that.
Yeah, or you'd have to just do it through your sole trader for longer than you hoped, because you have to.
Yeah.
Even if but it's hard. It's hard to say.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. I mean, I think the bounce back loans are available for applications up to, is it October, November, something like that. But obviously there's no guarantee that the government might not pull it before then. So what I would do is find out the information, and like Luke says, instead of taking it back through the process, maybe, I don't know if you can revert back to
it's more technical than that, though, because it's probably something to do with, like that whole, not I'm a financial advisor, because I'm not, and there's no there's like no financial advice here, but you can be a sole trader, hit the threshold, re-register for a limited company, and you get the threshold for the VAT threshold. You get the VAT threshold again twice. Obviously, if you had to go through what you had to reverse that process, then you would have to register for VAT, and that could, it just gets a bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably what most people are doing. That's what people have been doing, isn't it? So stuck. Do you transfer across, or do you carry on as a sole trader? But you've got to do other things, like register for VAT or something,
Yeah, absolutely. But I would definitely go back to the original source. And
one little paragraph is hard to.
Yeah, absolutely. To be able to get loads of context out of. So sorry if we haven't answered the question properly, Tara. I don't know if you're even still watching. Let's just see. If go back down to the bottom of the comment.
You've already left half an hour ago.
yeah, absolutely. So let's just have a quick look. I'm just gonna see. Oh, maybe Matt had a different sort of answer to it. I don't know, but I don't know.
I know what Matt Cromie's saying. I get it. I get what he's saying, because he's, in theory, both are the same business in his head. Like, it's just moving from a sole trader doing it. So but obviously the new limited company has no turnover, so it looks like a completely baby company.
Oh, right. Okay. So is Terry? I think Terry
just getting transitioned, actually legally and stuff. It's like you've just made another company doing the same thing that has no turnover. You kind of get where I'm going?
Yeah, no, I get what you. So based on that, if you base it on that information, as I understood it, and again, not financial advice, if you didn't have a year's turnover, because obviously you could apply for a bounce back loan if you'd been trading at the time for about 3 months anyway, it was based on projected anyway. So if it comes down to that, you could do it. You can just base it on your sole trader turnover anyway, because that would be your projected. Does that make sense?
I'm sure there's some, like, it sounds a bit like a bit of a weird dead end if that was that.
Yeah, and I think, and I mean this with the greatest of respect. I think unfortunately sometimes when you're being no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, because that sounds really dodgy. But I think sometimes we can overthink it, and we can put a bit too much information that they're not actually looking for. Essentially, I think what they're probably looking for more of is this kind of self-declaration for whatever the bounce back loan is. But yeah, if we've got the wrong end of the stick, Terry, let us know, and we can have a look at that if we can help, obviously. But yeah, we're not financial advisors, so there's a couple of things we're not going to be able to help with, unfortunately. So Simon said, I recently heard that the method of resetting the VAT threshold, as you suggested, is not allowed. Well, again, Luke is not an accountant, so that is something that you will need to check. I've heard mixed things about this, actually. I've heard some people say you can do it, some people say you can't do it. So obviously we want to make it clear that we're not offering any financial advice again at all. So it's something that if you wanted to go through the process of that, then you're going to need to check with an accountant, because I do know, and I've heard it from the horse's mouth, so I have heard it from Mark Hawley, that is something that you did used to be able to do, but I don't know if you can moving forward. So you are going to have to check it. If you account with Mark, then check it with him. If not, check it with your accountant.
But yeah, I wouldn't know anyway.
No,
I don't really know.
Yeah, I think it's something, and going back looking at the question, I think that let me go back and have a look previously. So many questions tonight. I think someone's got into a little bit of a chat. I think we got to ask the questions as they come up, otherwise they end up getting, lost essentially. Now, I can't remember who asked the question. Apologies for this. Was there any limit to staying as a sole trader as opposed to moving to limited company? I want to see if I can find that. Oh, here we go. So hope you're well. Hope you're well too. How long can I remain a sole trader before I have to move to a limited company? Well, to be perfectly honest, you can stay sole trader. You don't have to move to a limited company whatsoever. But what Luke was referring to there is there's this kind of double treaty where if you do move from sole trader to limited company, then technically you're resetting the entity. So a good time potentially to do it is when you hit the VAT threshold, because you might have another VAT threshold when you revert to a limited company. But as Simon says, we don't know if that's something that's still active anymore. So that could potentially be a good time to do it. But if not, then you don't really need to worry about, it's something you never have to do. There are pros and cons to having a limited company.
Yeah. And the only reason, basically, you got to decide, why do you want a limited, like I would want a limited company because I want to maybe do things in the future which are more structured, like more limited company, subsidiaries, holding companies. That's where it stems from. Like me deciding I always wanted to put it through a limited company, rather than a sole trader is very much, you don't want to, in my eyes, if you're going to be doing bigger and better things as time goes on. Of course, you can change as you go, but I know that obviously with certain risk attributed to limited companies and stuff, it is different than it is sole traders, and that's but only each person can decide themselves. Or to be honest, most people just start off as sole traders for selling on Amazon. If that's what you really want to do, there isn't really much potential reason to swap over if it's too much hassle or whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So, always get advice at the time. Speak to your accountant. Decide what's the best route for you. When you register as a limited company, there's more accountancy costs involved. So you just got to check what's right for you at the time. So Donna asks, a silly question here, but how do you know they are a business customer? Now, I know a few people have gone on and answered this, but just to clarify it, for anyone that's not reading the comments, is it gets flagged, essentially. So you just get told that it's a business customer.
Say on the orders as well. If you click on the whole order things, you'll see a little thing that says this is, you'll get a feel for, if you're just sort of scrolling over your orders, per day, per whatever, you'll get to see how many are in amongst the standard orders. You get a feel for how many there will be. It also gives you a feel for like how many you might have to reply to over the months and stuff. But for me, it could be a couple. It could be like 3 a day, 4 a day. So it's for sort of a more newer seller, it could just be 1 every couple of days or something. So they're not like, I'm sure there are abundance, but they're not like.
I think does it show in blue? I can't remember. Purple or blue or.
I look into Amazon, everything's blue.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it could have some correlation to.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I can't remember. But rest assured, if you go into the manage order section, you will be able to tell the difference. They will highlight that it is a business customer to be able to do that. So just going back, so I was going to ask this question. So Paul said, I just had a product removed as Amazon is saying it violates regulation. This item has sold thousands, and Amazon have been on the listing for years, and there is other listings of the same item still live on Amazon. What should I do with the products?
Do you want me to go for a bit of this? Do you want me
Yeah.
to take a little play? Basically, I would say that, and I'm sure they do it themselves. Amazon don't. It's weird. If it definitely, there's a little bit more of a weird one if Amazon are on the listing. But Amazon, the way I see it is, if it was definitely, if it wasn't, if it didn't have an Amazon on the listing, this would apply. I'm not entirely sure how, because obviously it's their product. They must have analysed and checked it and have a sort of supply chain. So that's unusual. But I'll just go from what I can give. A lot of product. Amazon, same with the old hazmat. Everyone used to think, well, why is a toy in hazmat? Or why is this product getting some sort of issue when it's, I don't know, a Dove body soap or something? Or maybe that is because it's a cosmetic, so you could think. But there's certain things and you think, well, why are they doing that? It's because they don't really know what these products are. They just see it as an ASIN as well, mostly. And also check that someone that's created that listing is actually selling what they're selling, maybe not like illegal goods or something. This is why I keep, I always like you could just create a listing and sell out of Amazon, but it could be something completely different until they actually check and verify that. And sometimes they make a mistake. So I've had some products recently. I think that was it. It was basically some seasoned salad dressing, and it was like, you're not allowed to sell medical supplies. Something to do with medical supplies. You haven't got like some sort of whatever it was, but it was literally just a 2-pack of like Britannia's, some sort of.
Was it like it had like mask in the title? It could have been classed as mask or something.
It happens like, and if you can find another similar item that is that product and it's fine, then I normally just find that I similar ASIN, or I split the ASIN up, or I bundle the ASIN and basically just try either get rid of it or find another suitable ASIN. Sometimes you find a better ASIN than the one you actually sold on, because you don't really look for, you think you're selling the best one at the time. But I normally recall that product if it doesn't, either it gets deleted or you get knocked off it, if I can't ever get back on it. And I normally try to find like either the same products again on Amazon, or maybe a bundle version, and worst case, just try to break even on it, or make some money if you can, or just find a new listing. That's what I normally do.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to add for that, because there's not really much more you can do, to be perfectly honest. The other option is you're obviously, if the product's been completely removed from the Amazon catalog, then unfortunately there's no way around it. You can't appeal to Amazon's better nature. They've removed the ASIN completely. It might get reinstated at some point, but there's probably, unless Amazon ask for evidence of something, it means that it's probably just been permanently removed from the catalog. So like Luke said, you can either find an alternative ASIN, but whatever you do, you're going to have to remove those products. I would have thought. I can't see that there's any way around it if it's been permanently removed. If Amazon are asking for additional information, you've got a lot of stock in there, it might be worth your time in supplying that information to get the ASIN reinstated. But that's not the kind of feel that I got from the question as to, they want the option to be able to do that. But if there is other listings with the same item that are still live, your option is maybe have the products removed to you, and then maybe merchant fulfill them and sell them from that point of view, because you don't want to send them all back into FBA, especially if you've got a lot of the product, and then that one gets shut down for another reason as well. But like Luke said, generally things like this get flagged because of Amazon bots. There's something off in the title or bullets or description or something like that whatsoever. It's not that product specifically that they generally go after. And that's, did you see the door shut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do
you know what? I said the door opened at the very, very start of this video, and I was hoping that Matt heard me and he was going to come and shut it, but I'd imagine either it was my son who's about to start screaming on Fortnite or something like that who shut it. But yeah, that I should have said, do you know, I should have freaked you out, and then I should have said,
I kept looking for the first 20 minminutes. I honestly could see a figure, but I think I was just creating it in my mind. I was like,
oh my God. Don't start talking about, I could have had loads of fun with you guys then with saying, did that door just shut on its own?
Well, I think I saw the door handle actually bend down, and normally that's if it's closed, I would have believed that more than an actual physical movement on the handle.
Yeah, the physical movement of the door. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's actually moved something like a bit more.
Never mind the paranormal. That's the episode for tonight. But yeah, sorry, go back to Paul. So if there's another option, maybe merchant fit. It depends how much stock you've got, essentially. If you've got like 2, just have it come back to you. Maybe send them back in on another listing. Or Luke said, if you're au fait with kind of creating listings, you might be able to create a new listing for it, or look for a bundle.
As well. You'll see a new listing pop up because someone will do that because they're probably worth selling that as well. They got a lot left over. They know how to create a new product, and within a couple of weeks, there'll be another product up. The product will be back up there, just as a different ASIN and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So just keep an eye on it. So Stephen's joined us. Evening, Stephen. Natalie has joined us. Evening. So Sue says, I have had trouble with tubes of face mask, as in beauty product, I assume, to do with PPE. Well, no, absolutely. So I think a lot of people had some issues with this a couple of weeks ago where it became a requirement, obviously in the UK from the 24th of July, everyone's going to have to wear face masks. So I imagine Amazon was preempting that there was going to be a big run on demand again for face masks. So it sent the Amazon bots out, and anything that's kind of associated with face mask or having something relating to that in the title, I think kind of got flagged. And I think that's what everyone was kind of the victim of there, essentially. So yeah, face mask as in beauty face mask, those type of things, but it's random. So you can have one person selling a similar product and they don't get affected. It really does depend what's in the description. Amazon do not have time. They've got billions of products, listed on all of their websites, or hundreds of millions or whatever. So what they do is they will just key in certain keywords, send out the Amazon bots. The Amazon bots will go and get that information. They'll bring it back. And even then, I don't think they'll bring it back everything. It will be a sampling, I think, of that information, and that's why random things get targeted from that point of view. But it's not Amazon doing it deliberately. They're not picking on anyone, or they're not picking on that specific. It's just something that's just come back from a random search.
And even when you go back and query something, they say, oh no, we've checked the products, it has no warnings or violations against the product itself. Well, no, it doesn't, because it's not happening yet. It's happening on the 24th or whatever, as it, even when you go back to someone there, they have no idea what you're even talking about, so it's not even really much you can do, even if it's wrong. Because an item that recently had it that was wrong, now it's fine. But and
listings do pop back up, and they they go, and Amazon are just being totally random on things at the moment. Like I had a couple of bundle listings that I created removed this week, which really annoyed me actually, because they were really good bundle listings. Just going to have to redo them, and there's no real reason why, because if nothing's been sold on a listing for 6 months plus, there's a good chance that it could be removed. But these have had very, very recent sales on them, so I didn't kind of get why they've been removed. I understand it a bit more now, and it's to do with a barcode issue, I think. But the funny thing was, I actually messaged seller support, and seller support, by the way, I'm going to say something funny here, but they are normally really good, I think, for certain things. I messaged seller support, and they messaged back, and I said, look, I've got this listing that I'm unable to list and manage inventory and replenish the inventory. And then bless him, or whoever it was in Seller Central, sent me a guide back on how to list an item for sale on Amazon. And I just thought, oh, they just got the wrong end of the stick here. I'm barking up the wrong tree. So I'm going to have to approach it from a different angle, but I don't think there's any way for it to be recovered at this stage, unfortunately, because I think once it disappears off the Amazon catalog, I think it's kind of gone forever.
If it disappears from Amazon catalog, there's it's like they don't even see it now. So they're not even
exactly.
do anything on it because it doesn't exist. So they can't go, oh yeah, we edit the picture because it does. It's all gone.
Yeah, once it's deleted, I don't think there's any way back for it, essentially. So we just have to go ahead and relist it under a different listing. And so, yeah, unless they're offering you any way of bringing, if what it comes down to, if you can't list that product, if you know the ASIN and you can't go and list it through the phone, that's like the worst case scenario. If you can't list it manually through the phone, through your Amazon Seller Central app, then it's disappeared off the Amazon catalog forever, and there's a good chance you won't be able to get it back. If you can still list it and it appears on your manage inventory, then there will be a chance to possibly list on that particular ASIN in the future.
Cool.
Just a little tip there for anyone that's, because sometimes what happens when something's out of stock and there's no active sellers on there, you can't see it on a physical desktop version, but you can see it on the app. And if you go in and if you manually list it on the app, then you have to go in and go into the listing through the desktop version. That's the only way to do it. But if you can't list it on the app, it's gone off the Amazon catalog. And yeah, as I say, gone forever. Won't be able to find it, unfortunately. So Corin says, yes, we just sent in hydration masks, no problem. Amazon are going to be sensitive at certain times of the year about certain things. Obviously we've got to bear in mind if there's going to be a second wave for COVID-19 in the in the autumn, like price gouging is kind of, I talked about this with Karen a few weeks ago. It is still a thing, but it's not as prevalent. It's not as bad as it was during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's something we've all got to be kind of aware of still moving forward, although you won't potentially get in as much trouble, I think, as you did previously, because if there is a second wave that come back, they might get all sensitive about it again. And that's what kind of happened with this face mask situation, where it became illegal, or not legal. I don't know if it's illegal to not wear a mask, or where it became a guideline that you have. No, it's not a guideline. It is. You have to do it, don't you?
Yeah, in shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think in any retail store from July the 24th. So once that has come into place, you have to do it. So therefore, Amazon are anticipating there's going to be a run on all these type of products, whereas a few weeks before they didn't care so much about face masks, because obviously demand has returned back to face masks. Prices have lowered on face masks, so people are not going to be as worried about getting them as they are a few weeks in the future when the government said what they said. So those are the things that we just have to kind of really be aware of moving forward. So let us know if you've got any more questions. Now, the only other thing I was going to kind of, mandatory. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Corin says it is mandatory. The only other thing I was going to very briefly talk about tonight, and we have gone past the hour again already, doesn't time fly when we're having fun, is just to kind of be more aware of Amazon seem to be going through this kind of period of time at the moment where they're putting lots of new restrictions in place. We've seen it with the invoices, new kind of performance metrics and that type of thing. So what I just wanted to kind of re-emphasize at the moment is just to be really aware of what Amazon is asking you to do at the moment, because over the last few months, with everything going on with COVID-19, warehouse space is becoming a premium within Amazon, and I see it as they are putting more and more into place to be able to make sure that the stock being sent into Amazon is going to sell, essentially. So just to leave you with a kind of final thought tonight is to make sure you are keeping an eye on your inventory performance index scores at the moment, because the period of time that we are in right now for your score is the period of time that you will be judged for your storage allowance for Q4. So if you are hovering anywhere near that 400 point limit, then you need to be able to look at your kind of sell-through rate, any excess inventory, any in-stock inventory, so replenishing items. And you need to be able to look at, what's the other one I've missed there? Sell-through, excess, in stock. Oh, stranded inventory as well. You need to be able to have a look at that. Keep an eye on that. Keep hot on it at the moment, because if you drop below your 400 during these weeks, you don't sort it out by the end of the quarter, then you could be restricted on the goods that you can send into Q4. And believe me, you don't want to be restricted on your storage space in Q4.
I remember actually back in the day, so I know we're sort of doing this, but there used to be an actual unit number. Not back in the day that far, but now there's a cubic meter size, but there used to be an actual unit number size, didn't there, on your inventory? Do you remember that?
Was it units?
Yeah, I used to have like 10,000 or 1,000 over units and 10,000 standard.
I seem to remember, didn't it start out like 1,500? Then it went up to like 10,000 or something like that. But yeah, you're right. I've just remembered that.
Now it's in cubic meters.
Cubic feet it is now.
I don't pay attention to it. That's basically what.
Yeah, it's
completely irrelevant now. But yeah,
the reason Amazon have done it is purely because, like I said, over the last few months, they've realised that. Well, they've known this anyway, and this is what has been building up. This is what it's kind of been building up to, and Amazon, I personally believe, I've been saying this for some time now, is they're putting all of these things in place, and we already know this through the cubic feet measurement, which I'll mention in a moment anyway. They're putting all these kind of restrictions in place. They're putting all of these performance indicators, the IP score, policy violations, shipment violations, performance metrics. They're all there for a reason. And I think what it's eventually going to build up to, and I'm not talking about for everything, but everything that we do on Amazon, everything that we do as Amazon sellers will be judged in either a performance metric moving forward that could affect your ability to sell. It could affect your ability to send in. It could affect your ability, what you can store, what you can sell, what you can't sell, things like that. So it'll either be judged from that point of view, or I believe at some point they will bring in some sort of fining model if you are not doing what they don't want you to do. They will either fine you from a restriction point of view, restrict you on certain things, or they're going to fine you for actual money. And I've seen evidence of this in the US, not too recently, very recently, where I saw it was actually in, I think, a US-based group, Facebook group, where everyone kind of, I know this is one of the rules that people do flout quite a bit. It's to do with shipping violations, about going over that 63.5 centimeter, on the longest side. And I know here that there are people that do kind of flout this rule a little bit because there's no real consequences and people are quite happy if they get caught just to accept the shipping violation. But in this particular post that I had seen, the person now in America was being fined for every box that they were over that limit. So it's not just a case of they had their ability to be able to ship in removed once they acknowledged it, but they were also being fined. And it was like, I can't remember the exact figure, but this guy, I wasn't laughing at that. But this guy had I think it was like 100 boxes that he'd gone over the measurements on. And it was like $10 a box. He was $25 a box that he was being fined for being over. So I think this is something that's going to come to the UK at some point, and they're kind of warming us up to it at the moment.
Yeah, I guess it's not quite similar, but the only thing I can think where they've added costs in, is I understand it, is where they used to just be able to tell them what was coming in the boxes, but
yeah,
now if you want to carry that on, you've got to pay a fee.
Yeah,
and I know it's, of course it's better to have like exact quantities known beforehand and stuff. Like if you're sending in 1 million items in 1 billion, but whatever, of course it's going to be very hard to know what's meant to be coming. But that's not a new thing. So there is things over time that they have added that are fee based.
And I definitely think we're going to be seeing the first indication of type of thing that they're going to punish, because there's no other word, punish people or restrict people. They're either going to punish people through restrictions or punish people through fines. And the first sort of fine that I think we're seeing, which is coming on the 1st of August, everyone, just to let you know, for those of you that haven't seen it, but this only affects people that have a score of less than 400 points on their inventory performance index score, and they continue to have that once they go into a new quarter. And then once they go into a new quarter, so it's basically they've been warned that that they've dropped below the 400. They haven't done anything about it, but then so therefore Amazon have then restricted their storage, so they've taken them off unlimited and maybe put them down, I don't know, like 500 cubic feet. So this is where the new cubic feet measurement comes into play. And then what happens is they stay below that 400. They have their storage reduced, and then if they go above their storage limit, then you're going to be charged £7.80 per per cubic feet that you are over your new storage limit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Well, you lose these cubic feet because I never learned that kind of thing. But like, I get what you mean.
Yeah, so that's the sort of fine we're going to be talking about moving forward, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more things coming in like that. But at the same time, that fine that I've just talked about, quite a lot has got to go wrong for that to happen. It's like a really worst case scenario that you would have been warned, you would have been given 6 weeks to sort it out. Then you would have been given a new restriction, and then you would have to breach that as well. So there's quite a lot that could go wrong for that fine to be able to come into place. So I don't want to scare anyone thinking, oh God, I'm going to get charged £7.80 per cubic square feet that I'm over my storage limit. Most people that stay above the 400 units are going to have 400 points are going to have unlimited storage going into Q4 anyway.
And I think it should be, it should be relatively easy to stay above that. Of course, depending on your exact model, it could be problematic. But
yeah, if you're a private label seller who's not selling, yeah, you're actually it's private label have got the best chance for having the highest scores. Arbitrage is something that is somewhere in the middle. I would say probably the average arbitrage seller is at a score anywhere between, well, probably 400 to about 700, something like that. If you're an arbitrage seller and you've got an IP score of 700 plus, you're doing really well. Most people stay around the kind of 400 to 700 mark. And it comes down to those 4 key elements. There are some more factors that they do take into account, but it really does come down to sell-through rate being one of the most important, excess inventory, so making sure that you're not overstocked on lots of items, your in-stock inventory, so making sure you are replenishing the items that they're asking for. If you can't replenish it, make sure you delete the listing. Essentially, that does have an impact on your score. And then make sure that you remove any stranded inventory. So if you've got any stranded inventory, make sure you get it back out. There's no point leaving it in there any longer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or even if it is like a bit more of a sustainable product that you're going to buy again and again, you sell out, delete it for the short term and then just re-add it later. Even though you might want to leave it in there because you might want to add it again in a couple of days, but if you've got multiple listings like that, it will all add up over time anyway.
Absolutely. Okay, well, it looks like no more questions came in, so I'm not sure. Hopefully the software is working, but I can see people are still watching us, but we are kind of 20 minutes past the hour, so I think we'll take the opportunity to wish everybody a good night. Thank you for watching. I think it's Matt Webley back on next week with me. So if not, I will let you guys know. If you've ever got any questions that you want us to answer live, make sure you pop them in the Facebook group. Thank you once again, Luke, for joining me. And I've got some exciting news coming up. Luke and I are going to be working on a cool project together, which I think some of you, or hopefully all of you, are going to be interested in. So we will keep you updated on that as well over the coming weeks. But as ever, tag us in any questions that you have. And final thoughts from you, Luke.
Final thoughts?
Well, or final goodbye, something like that.
Okay, final thoughts is that, no matter what changes happen on Amazon, it happened. It's not. I mean, you might think, oh, it's abundant now. It's happening like more now. It's probably not. It's happened exactly like that. It's always happened
Yeah.
years and years and years. And sometimes they're not even, nothing really comes of it, or you think it will, and it doesn't. And overall, there's not been anything that I've massively thought's been like a complete game changer in terms of something that's happened. Not for me anyway. Maybe there has been. So just focus on what you can impact, and be aware of what's changing, but also just focus on what you can impact, and then play those options over time as the future presents itself a little bit clearer as time goes on.
Yeah.
Rather than getting too caught up sometimes in what Amazon are doing, and you're getting a bit panicked maybe because you're like, well, I have to do that now. Okay, well, yes, but what can you do in your business to try to complement each other, to sort of lean towards what they're trying to ultimately do, which is probably make people more accountable and businesses more accountable. So they want more professional businesses that are maybe doing a little, that they're actually taking things seriously and not just sort of chucking something on Amazon and leaving it, that kind of thing. So that's how I see it anyway. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Lovely final thoughts. Thank you, Luke. But yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. So a few people saying interesting. Matthew Baker says, hi, late. No, it's fine. Hi and bye. It's going to be Matthew, I'm afraid. We are going to call it an evening. But thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you all for your contributions. It's very much appreciated. Keep us updated with everything going on in the group. Before we know it, Q4 is going to be literally upon us. Do you know what? Literally, next time we talk on this, it's going to be August. And do you know what? I meant to pick you up on this actually at the start of the thing. You said, oh, we're halfway through the year. We are way more past halfway through the year. We are like literally going into August, and Q4 is like 4 months.
When September comes, I'm thinking it's Q4. Like, I'm already doing Q4 things where, I've done it before. I'm doing it now, but I'm definitely thinking it's Christmas time. Planning.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll tell you what, you're back on again in 2 weeks. So why don't we commit to having a Q4 Never Mind the Buy Box chat in a couple of weeks where we will talk fully Q4, because literally whatever date we are now, we're going to be coming into like the second week of August then, and we're getting right into the realms of definitely Q4 is on the horizon. So I think let's have a chat with Luke in a couple of weeks' time, and we can drill down specifically on some of the things you guys need to be getting ready for, some of the things that you need to be looking at for the upcoming Q4, which according to Matt Webley will be best Q4 ever.
Exactly. Well, every year should be a better Q4. Just looking at the statistics of new users on online buying, and you're just going off one thing alone. Yes, there should be a recording available. Where is it? It's on the video section of the Secret Wealth project, and it should be there once it's finished, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Someone's just said hello, Clarice. I don't know what that means, but there we go. Great content. Thank you. Yeah, it's either available or you can find us on YouTube now under Never Mind the Buy Box. So you can either watch the replay on there, or it's in the video section of Secret Wealth Project. It should just automatically go in there straight after this. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Like I said, I always feel like I'm saying it over and over again. We will see you next week, and let us know if you've got any questions. But have a great week, everyone.
See everyone later. Bye.
Take care. Bye.